You know what keeps me up at night? It's not coming up with new content ideas or even launching a new product. It's making sure I'm making smart decisions with the data that I actually have. And here's the thing. Every business is asking the same question right now. How do we make AI work for us? And honestly, guessing is too risky. But sitting on the sidelines, that's not an option either because your competitors are already making their move. That's where NetSuite comes in. It's the #1 AI cloud ERP trusted by over 43,000 businesses. What I love about it is that it brings everything together. Your financials, inventory, commerce, HR, and CRM, all into one single source of truth. And here's why that matters. When your data is connected, your AI doesn't just guess. It knows. It can intelligently automate routine tasks, deliver actionable insights, and help you make confident decisions fast. This isn't another tool you just bolt on. It's AI built into the system that runs your business. If I were running a business with lots of moving parts, NetSuite is what I would use to help me stay ahead of the pack. Right now, get our free business guide, Demystifying AI, at netsuite.com/SPI. The guide is free to you at netsuite.com/SPI. netsuite.com/SPI. When I started this entrepreneurial journey in 2008, I was 25 years old, and I'm about to turn 43. That is crazy, even to hear myself say it out loud. I've been doing this for quite a while, and as I turned 43, I wanted to do an episode here that I haven't done in a very long time. And this is more of a life update. This isn't going to be an episode that has you scrambling to go in front of a computer and implement something really quickly, or develop some new strategy with your team, or start some new business. I mean, perhaps it might do that, but really I just wanted to have this be an outlet for us to connect and for me to just share what's on top of mind as I turn 43 years old. And when I think about who I was at 25, when I started my business, I was just about to get married. I had not had kids yet. I was still very much able to eat whatever I want and not see the consequences of that. I was very much able to run around and play a lot of sports without also the consequences of that. But I definitely have grown wiser. I definitely have approached people and life differently. And the things that were important to me back then have changed. However, there are still things that were important to me back then that have remained the same. And I want to first start with my wife, April. We've been together for nearly 17 years now. And of course, we've had our ups and downs, and we've continued to have discussions about the same things again and again that seem to come up. And this is not unusual in most relationships, of course. But I think what has really brought us closer over the years has been working as a team for a very specific purpose. And that is, of course, our kids. And our kids are getting older. My son turned 16 this December, which is crazy because this is about how old the blog was. And many of you who are old school followers of the channel and of Smart Passive Income from back in the day, you might remember a blog post where I announced his birth. And we were going through some tough times then. My wife and I were not under any health insurance plan, so we had to pay all of that out of pocket. And it was all thanks to the architecture website I had, my very first business, to help people pass the LEED exam, that we were actually able to survive that. But we were very worried because Keone was born premature. And we were worried that all the expenses in the NICU and all that stuff, if he was going to be there for weeks, and thankfully he wasn't. He just came home very, very tiny, 4 pounds actually. And now he's much bigger than 4 pounds. In fact, his head is way bigger than that, but he's turned into a mature, good young man. And it's very cool to see. And April and I have bonded, and most of our conversations are about the kids and who they were and the fun times we've had with them, the memories that we've shared together, and also who they are seemingly becoming and the things that they may end up doing and the people that they're going to spend their time with and hopefully spend some of that time with us. It's been really interesting now that they've been very independent. My daughter, too, 13 years old. She is a teenager. We have 2 teenagers in the house now. And when I think about just how quickly time has gone, it has been the blink of an eye. So fast things have happened. And I'm very grateful that my businesses have been set up in a way to spend quite a bit of time with them. And despite that, I still wish there was more. So all I can do and all we can do is just enjoy the time together that we still have. And we do that by playing games and having conversations here at the house. We do that by working together. The kids are both employees of my company. And we also go on a lot of trips together. And the same has been true ever since the beginning. We don't spend a lot of money on lavish things. I mean, maybe I spend a lot of money on Pokemon cards now, but that's sort of a side thing that is blown up. But outside of that, most of our money is spent on building experiences and memories and traveling afar. I mean, we are going to be going to Japan for a third year in a row this year because we've fallen in love with the culture, the food, the vibe there. We're also going to head over to Korea as well to explore Seoul and a few cities around that area. My daughter and my wife have gotten really big into K-pop, and I've gotten brought along with them and have gotten to know the boys of the Stray Kids K-pop group, and I've followed a few other groups too. It's just an amazing culture, and I follow them for, yes, the reason of their music is great, and I enjoy their videos and their dancing, but I also really am getting inspired by the marketing in the K-pop world. And I don't want to talk about too much business today, but man, when you think about a new album that comes out, right? Remember back in the day when an album would come out, there was just one thing you would buy, the album with the DVD or the CD in it, and that's it. That's all. But because there are 8 members of this group, do they launch with just one album? No. The same music is put across 8 different albums because you need one for each individual person on the cover. But then within that, you also have these cards called PCs or photo cards that are a mystery until you open it up. So they're kind of playing along with the blind bag opening craze and also the Pokemon card craze and all that stuff where you might not know. You might get the rare, I don't know, Sungmin, who's one of the members. He's my bias right now, actually. A bias being your favorite. Anyway, I could talk for a whole hour about K-pop and the marketing behind it and some of the genius in that world. And I'm actually getting a lot of inspiration from that. But all that to be said, the family all enjoys the same kinds of things together. And even though it might not be our cup of tea for each person, we all try to enjoy what everybody else is enjoying. Because, especially my wife and I, we aren't going to see them for much longer. We're already spending less and less time with them because they're out with their friends. My son's going to get a car soon, be gone even more most likely. I've gotten him behind the wheel in some parking lots a couple times, and that's just been such a trip. Oh my gosh. A wild ride, pun intended. And I'm just hoping he remains safe and smart and, I have to lead by example in the car, not checking the phone, and always trying to be the best example as possible. So that's the family. The family's great. One thing that has been a really, really good purchase, I'll just tell you, like I said, we don't normally spend a lot of money on things, but there was one thing that we purchased that has been tremendous for just the bonding that my wife and I have together, and that is a hot tub. We actually spent money on a hot tub that is an above-ground hot tub that goes in the backyard, and it has a cover and everything, and thankfully we live in San Diego, so the weather's not crazy and we don't have to worry about things like freezing over or whatever, but it has been amazing to have that be sort of a ritual for us to go and just chat. I'm not on my phone. She's not on her phone. There's no television on. We're just outdoors looking up at the stars and having conversations about life. And that's been probably my most favorite thing that has happened lately with just my wife and I, the conversations that we've been having out in the backyard. And every once in a while, I'll catch a falling star, and it's just beautiful. And to be outdoors and to actually utilize the backyard and to be in like a warm pool of water, it's great. It's so great. Highly recommend, if possible. So what else has been happening in my life? Well, I've talked about family. Let me talk a little bit about health. Thankfully, I am in fairly good health. I had once gotten a DEXA scan a few years back and was getting a little bit into the obese side. Even though I didn't really look it or feel it, the numbers didn't lie. The DEXA scan that I had showed me that I was teetering toward 28% body fat. And this was just a result of poor habits. So I've been working hard over the past number of years to reduce that, and I've been able to get it down to 18%. And I haven't had a DEXA scan in a while, but I feel great. I have a lot of energy. I have been eating fairly well. I have been exercising fairly often. And what I've realized is that as long as I just don't overdo it one way or another, I'm going to be okay. There was once a point where I overdid the workouts, and I not starved myself, but I just kind of kept myself from foods that I wanted to eat and didn't enjoy life as much as I could have. because I was just trying so hard to get ripped, right? But I just want to be healthy at this stage in life. And thankfully, I've done a few things like when I'm on meetings, if I don't have to be in front of my computer, I take those meetings while on a walk. I walk around the block, and usually I'll get a nice heart rate up and get those conversations done. I'm in a much better mood anyway when I'm moving around. So that's been really helpful across the board. I still work out twice a week with a trainer. That's important to me because I wouldn't do that unless that person was going to be there. Now, this trainer is on FaceTime. His name is Jeff. You might have met him or have heard about him before. And I know that he's going to call me at a certain time twice a week, and I have to be in the garage with my free weights or else I'm going to get in trouble. So having that accountability has been really, really important and very, very good for just my health and energy and creativity, which have been much needed this year with a lot of the work that I've done on the card party front, on the Pokemon stuff, and the stuff that's happening with SPI and superfans, and all the things have required so much of my level of energies that I've absolutely needed to stay on top of myself as much as possible in terms of health. So very, very happy about that. I haven't overdone it, and I'm not six-pack ripped. I'm not chiseled, but I'm also not obese, and I'm not slow, and I feel like that's been great. So just trying to find balance in that has been key, because I've always teetered too far to one side or too far to the other, where it's gotten even to the point where I've, injured myself because I've tried so hard to get ripped or, follow the best workout plan and, all that stuff. I have been taking creatine, which has been really helpful. I find that supplement to be useful for various reasons with recovery as well as energy and creativity. I'm not saying to take creatine, but definitely research it, do your research, and talk to a physician if you're interested or curious about that. But that's been the one supplement that I do take every day in addition to protein shakes. And gosh, the hardest thing to do, but the most useful thing and most beneficial thing has been hitting my protein numbers. Keeping track of my protein, hitting my protein numbers has been huge. That's been really key. Another thing that I've gotten very excited about over the past couple of years that I continue to now have be a part of my life is anime. I was never really an anime kid growing up, but now anime is very mainstream, and it is so good. There are so many great animes out there. And if you haven't explored animes, no, it's not cartoons. I mean, yes, it is animated and it's drawn, but the storytelling is absolutely insane across so many different titles. And there's a lot of great titles that you may have heard of already, like One Piece, which is way too long. I mean, there's nearly 2,000 episodes of that thing, and I had to stop after 800, even though it started to get really good. It was just too much, and I wanted to explore more. So One Piece is crazy long, although I believe they are coming out with another series starting from the beginning, but without the filler episodes to help people get caught up much faster. So that should be coming out at some point fairly soon. Demon Slayer, absolutely incredible. Attack on Titans, crazy, wild. What a thrill. But the number one anime that I've just fallen in love with has been Frieren. And I highly recommend you watch it. It's called Frieren Beyond Journey's End. And the story is, it's immaculate. I've seen it 6 times over already. Thankfully, it's only, I think, 25 to 28 episodes. And season 2 is coming in January, which I'm really excited about. But this story is one that's made me cry. It's one that has made me reflect on life and the things that I'm doing and the prioritizations that I have. And I even got to a point where I bought a figurine of the main character, whose name is Frieren, to be a daily reminder for me to enjoy the time that I have with the people that I'm around. The reason it's called Beyond Journey's End is because it actually takes place very uniquely at the end of a journey. After this party, I'm not going to spoil too much for you, or really anything, it's in the first episode, all of this. They come back from their journey defeating the Demon King. They've defeated the evil demon, and now they're coming back, and they're being celebrated. And Frieren is pretty unique because she's a mage. She's a mage elf, and so she lives a very, very long life. 1,000+ years, right? Whereas the other members of her party generally are human, and they pass. And she's just like, yep, whatever. Like something that takes 10 years for her just feels like a week to us. But of course, she realizes that she misses them and that she didn't take advantage of that time that she had with them because the human life is so short. And so she goes on this new journey and she tries really hard to enjoy the moment and to be a good person, knowing that for who she's with, it's not going to be that much time relative to how much time she has. And the battles are incredible. The storyline is great. It's not super fast paced, but it's clever. And it's just very, very sweet. So it is on Netflix. I highly recommend you check it out. If you give it a few episodes, you will be hooked. And it is an incredible watch. Frieren. Freeren. So yeah, anime has been great. It's been something that the entire family's been able to watch. It does often bring lessons and teach lessons. Hunter x Hunter was another great one. That was almost my gateway anime.
People ask me all the time, Pat, which AI tools are you using right now? And honestly, there's like a million of them out there, right? But here's the thing. Out of all the tools I've tested, including ChatGPT, Claude, all the big names, there's one that has become my absolute favorite. It's called Poppy AI, and I genuinely use this more than anything else right now. Here's why it's my favorite. Most AI tools feel like you're typing into a void, right? Hoping for something decent. With Poppy, I get this visual canvas where I can drag in things like my newsletters, podcast episodes, book chapters, outside things like TikTok, YouTube videos, educational videos. Last week, I wanted to create content about my Lean Learning book, for example, and I dropped in 5 Unstuck newsletters, my book manuscript, and a couple podcast episodes where I talked about the concepts. Then I asked for a newsletter about micromastery. And the results blew me away. It captured my exact tone, including my signature format, and even suggested a dad joke that actually tied to the content. It was basically 98% ready to publish. This is the easiest AI tool to use, and it's given me the most benefit. And it's helping me with newsletters, copywriting, research, you name it. So if you're ready to try my favorite AI tool, go to smartpassiveincome.com/poppy. Use code SPI for $25 off. smartpassiveincome.com/poppy. Code SPI. This one's special. Legal questions are an integral part of running your own business. Is this contract or agreement sound? If a client doesn't pay, what do I do? Are my taxes set up properly? Instead of trying to find your own answers online, imagine having real experienced lawyers ready to answer all of your business legal questions without the sticker shock. That's what you get with Legal Shield's monthly small business plans. Legal Shield gives you access to designated law firms in your state to help with contract reviews, trademarks, collection letters, business formation guidance, and even help navigating IRS audits. As a member, you can schedule consultations and get support from a vetted law firm who will speak in a way you understand, respect your time, and care about the outcome. Plus, Legal Shield's knowledgeable law firms can write letters or make phone calls on your behalf to protect your hard-earned revenue, all for a fraction of the price of hiring a lawyer on your own. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI.
I love that I'm here on the podcast just talking about anime with you. I can just kind of chill out today, and I don't have to be quote-unquote on. I mean, I'm always me, but I get to relax a little bit today. It's my birthday. My birthday's coming up December 6th, so I wanted to share this episode with you and just kind of unwind a little bit. It's been a year. It's been a great year. It's been a year full of wins. The launch of Lean Learning and becoming a New York Times bestselling author, that is still crazy for me to say out loud and hear. New York Times bestselling author. Just thank you so much for supporting that book. It's still available. We just crossed 100 ratings, and I haven't even asked for ratings and reviews, so this will be the one time that I ask this year. If you haven't done so already, please leave a review on Amazon. It goes a very long way, and I do read them all. You know, I'm very happy with the response to the book. I continue to get messages, direct messages from people who've read the book and have implemented some strategies to actually learn the things that they've wanted to learn for a very long time. And I love that. It's become just such a joy to see the results of this work that I put in, put in the hard work now, reap the benefits later kind of thing. I've been very happy with the way the Pokemon channel has grown and the Shorts channel, how that's blown up. Man, the incredible opportunities that has put in front of me has been insane. And not just business opportunities, but opportunities to meet people who I would have never thought I would have met. In fact, I'm going to tell you this now. Just last week, I got a DM from Kiki Hernandez. And if you don't know who Kiki Hernandez is, he is an LA Dodgers player who recently won the World Series, who is a now rookie Pokemon card collector. And he reached out to me for help. This is insane. plays for the Dodgers. This is the second time a Dodgers player has reached out to me and has known about me, which is kind of crazy. The first time was actually prior to the Pokemon stuff, and that was Trevor Bauer, who was in San Diego. I ran into him at a lunch that I was at, and he used the Switch Pod, and that was our entry into our relationship and conversation. And unfortunately, a month after that, he was accused of some not great things that years later, we eventually found out were absolutely false. I don't want to go too deep into that, but his career was ruined as a result of this person who just basically targeted him and made up all this stuff. And yeah, his career was forever changed. But genuinely a great guy, the moments I had with him. And Kiki's been pretty cool to chat with as well. It's just odd that these professional athletes, and it's not just these people. I met Pat O'Connor from the Detroit Lions when I was there opening a pack of Pokemon on Ford Field. I was invited for a second year in a row this year to open up a pack of Pokemon on Ford Field. And during pregame, Pat O'Connor, defensive lineman or defensive end, he came over and said, "Pat, I'm a big fan. I got to show you my collection sometime." I was like, what? What is happening here? It's just been so much fun because one thing that I've done has been optimizing for fun. I want to optimize for fun. For such a long time, I was optimizing for views. I was optimizing for revenue and scale, right? Scale bigger. Let's grow the team. Let's get bigger and make more money. Cool. But what am I sacrificing as a result of that? What am I saying no to by optimizing for scale? Rather, how might I, and this comes from Michael Hyatt, who said this at a recent retreat, how might I optimize for peace? At 43, that word means so much. Peace. What is peace? How might one achieve that? A lot of times I sit in the car, and I think I've shared this as a quote-unquote productivity strategy, and that is to actually not worry about being productive. When I'm in the car, I drive in silence. And it's weird because I can hear parts of the car that I've never heard before, and I'm like, is that okay? You know, I hear the engine revving, the wheels turning. I'm not listening to an audiobook. I'm not listening to a podcast. I'm internalizing everything that's just in my head already. I'm not allowing new things to come and change that direction. I'm allowing myself time to digest the content that I've consumed. It's like a shower thought, but in the car. And I have clothes on. But it's so incredible, the things that happen when I'm driving in silence. I am peace. I'm in meditative mode. I sometimes in incredible creative mode, where connections are firing and things are making sense like never before, because I finally had time to allow myself to think about those things. But a lot of times I'm just sitting there with myself and I can just smile. And that is a moment of peace. I'm at peace when I have a fishing line in the water and I don't have anything else in the world to care about or think about than just me out in nature, next to water, with the potential for something crazy to happen, right? A big fish to strike that bait and to pull my pole down. What kind of fish? I don't know. How big is it? I don't know. But I love that feeling. One thing I've wanted to do a little bit more of, and I hope to do more of as I get a little older, is golf more. I used to golf all the time in college. My roommate Dylan and I would hit the back nine in the Berkeley Hills. There was a golf course there that we just kind of knew so well. I mean, we were terrible on every other golf course, but I mean, we could hit, if we were doing the back nine, we could birdie or par every single hole, like pretty much every day. And continued to golf even after college. But after getting married and after having kids, that was one thing that I purposefully put to the side because that was a lot of time away from the family, a lot of, selfish time, me time that I was willing to say no to so that I could say yes to something else. But as I've gotten older and as I've gotten more time back, golf is something that I would love to bring back into my life. I played a tournament last year, a fundraiser for my son's band, and that was something that was really, really fun to get back on the greens and hit some balls and have them go every which way and ask myself, what could I do better next time? It was just so much fun. And I've been going to the range every once in a while. I was very, very lucky that when I was in Portland for FinCon, I was invited by Philip Taylor, the creator of FinCon, as well as Sean Ogle from Breaking 80, and I got to see a few other people there too. Corbett Barr was there. Remember Corbett Barr? He was one of the first guests on the podcast in 2010, and I got to see him again. He is retired, and that was really cool. We got to play golf together. He was on our team, and it just was such a great time to be with a bunch of friends playing golf and talking about life. And in a very similar way, talking about optimizing for peace and what we're going to do as our kids got older and what was going to keep us excited and where did we want to go and how were our families. Like all that stuff was so fun. And so I want to do more of that. I want more time with friends to just chat. Not necessarily to plan a new business venture, although that will always happen. I feel like I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and there will always be new opportunities that I feel like I can lend myself to serve in some way, shape, or form. I'd love to do more of that in the world of advisorship, which I've been doing. I've recently signed on as an advisor to a few other companies, including Kik, which is the AI bookkeeping tool, which has been on an absolute tear lately. I'm so proud of that team and everybody over there. It's just been really fun to see that tool take off. It's been great to see Circle take off and continue to do well, and their numbers, their team, just their motives. It is just so fun to be a part of it in a way where I'm not actually working on the day-to-day, but I can still influence the direction of the company and offer my advice and expertise. I've also been getting a lot of inquiries from people in other spaces, like the collectible space and crypto space. And I say no to all the crypto related things, but it's just really neat that people feel like I have the business opportunities for them or the business experience, which creates an opportunity that I can say yes or no to. So I feel like when it comes to the future, though, one thing that I have been thinking a lot about is my finances. And recently, I mean, in the past couple of years, I had seen this drive toward AI-related things. And, you know, I'm not going to talk about AI and how I feel about it. I love it and hate it at the same time. AI art and AI videos just are why? Why does that exist? Whereas AI tools and large language models, which help me do things faster, be more productive with my work, help me get more creative, help me become more creative, those things I adore and use every day. Tools like Poppy, just I have to use every day for the work that I do. And it's awesome. It's just great. If you haven't used Poppy yet, definitely check it out. smartpassiveincome.com/Poppy. Anyway, everything is AI-ified right now, right? And I just knew that there were going to be tools required, resources required, knowledge required in order to continue this AI-ification that was happening. So I invested in some companies. I'm not going to share the exact companies. I mean, there's one that I think most people who are into AI are investing into, and that's NVIDIA. I invested quite a bit of money into NVIDIA early on, and it's done very, very well. Same thing with other AI-related companies, and I'm talking, 600 to 1,000% returns on some of those investments. And that's been something that I've been really enjoying. Not day-to-day trading or day trading and, putting in and pulling out every single day, but more longer-term opportunities. I was very, very early on in Tesla. I don't have any shares in Tesla anymore. I sold, but it's on a tear as well now. But I do have some other more tech-related investments that have been doing extremely, extremely well. And so I'm very grateful for that because I'm putting my money to work, and I think that's important. I've got a lot of advice. I have a really good advisor who has been putting money into places that I didn't know anything about until they introduced them to me, and I did my research, and I really said, yeah, let's do it, and those have paid off. Of course, there's going to be corrections and things like that, but again, at 43, I have 22 years left to invest in at least the retirement side of things, to ride any waves and to just continue to just dollar cost average most of those things and continue to add and hopefully max out contributions every year. And I've been trying to play it smart. I've been seeing the results of just slow growth, then leading into medium growth, then going into rapid growth. I started investing in mutual funds back when I was 21. Right when I got my first architecture job, I knew that investments were going to be important. And it's really cool because the kids are much younger than I was when I started investing, and they're investing. They have now had 2.5 years into a Roth IRA that they each have from the work that they do in my company. There's some tax saving things that we're kind of doing, and it's, we don't have to go into that right now, but there are legal ways to have your kids be employees of your company in order to save on taxes because they don't have to report below a certain amount. And what we're doing is we're using that money that they're getting to A, fund their Roth IRAs, B, also help them learn how to spend their own money. And we've seen and noticed that they are a little bit more careful about what they want to spend their money on. And they see the consequences of spending money on small things that don't really matter when down the road they have a thing that they want to buy that they don't have enough money for. Well, they shouldn't have spent all that money to begin with, and it's their money. So that's been really neat to see. And even Keone's been a little more interested in investing as well because he's seen me do it and see it perform very well. So he's starting to dabble into that too, which is really, really cool. So just kind of getting them familiar with stuff that it took me 20 plus years, 30 plus years to understand and even just like get involved with. I want to get them to experience those things sooner than later. The grades are important in school. Extracurriculars are important. We want their options open. But we never say when you go to college. We say if you go to college because we want it to be something that they choose if that makes sense for the life that they want to live. Maybe they are going to travel after high school. Who knows? But we want to make sure that they are set up for success. We want to implore into them entrepreneurship qualities, entrepreneur-like qualities, but we don't want to tell them that they have to go to college because that's what we were told. And although I don't regret any of that time, I do enjoy the time I spent at Cal learning architecture. And of course, architecture led to getting laid off, which led to the business of teaching people how to pass an architecture exam. So, I wouldn't take anything back. But today, it's not always the right answer across the board. And we just want to give our kids the options to choose what they want to do and hopefully have them have good enough grades in extracurriculars. What's really interesting is we're hearing stories now about kids who get perfect SAT scores and have perfect grade point averages. I think there was somebody who recently had like an 11-point grade point average, which I didn't even know was possible. And they weren't able to get into any Ivy League schools because a lot of these schools now are looking for well-rounded children or young adults. People who have experiences, but it's obvious that they're doing it because they have a passion for it or they have some interest in it, not because their parents told them to do it or they think that that's what's going to look good on a resume. It's just a very different time. There are certain things that I wish they weren't growing up with, like phones and access to the internet, or at least have limited access to the internet. There's so much stuff out there that is just brain rot, right? But at the same time, there's also opportunities as well. The one thing I want to share, the final thing I'll share is, I'm reminded of a good friend of mine who recently passed, Dan Miller. He was a coach and a mentor to so many people in the entrepreneurial space. And I think I've shared this once before, but I want to share it again because it really made an impact on me. And as I turned 43 and add another notch to the years of my life, when I last heard from Dan, he sent a video, and he sent a private video out to a few people. I was one of them. And in this video, he was on his farm, and he was smiling. He was smiling like he always does. And he said, I have some bad news. He had developed a cancer that was rapidly spreading, and he only had a couple more weeks left to live. And he was saying this with a smile. And he said, you know what? I have lived the life I want to live. Everything that I wish I could have done, I've been able to do. He was able to spend a lot of time with his kids. He was able to help so many people. And he said that when I go, I'm going to die happy knowing that I've done everything I wanted to do and I've left the world in the way that I wanted to leave it. And I just broke down. I was like, bro, what a way to freaking go. To get to the point where you can die happy. Holy crap. And it really made me think about, well, what am I doing with my life? How am I optimizing for peace? How am I getting to that point where I could one day say that? Of course, he wanted to live still, as we all do. We want to be there to see our kids grow up and our kids' kids grow up and our kids' kids' kids grow up, etc. But man, what a way to go. And it was so inspiring. And it was the exact message I needed to hear. And even though he is no longer with us, he's still serving. And it's incredible. So shout out to you, Mr. Miller. Dan, you are a real one for sure. I'm pouring a little champagne on the ground for you right now. Just thank you. One of the homies. Seriously, though. I mean, it was so inspiring. And so I think about that. I'm like, if I were to go today, would I be like, yeah, I lived a good life? I think so. But I also know I have so much more to give. I have so many more fun adventures to have with not just my family and some of you, but more people who I don't even know yet. I have many more things to say and to share. I think there's a lot more value I could share out there in this world. And I have a lot more things to learn. I want to learn how to do so much more. But I'm going to do it in a lean learning fashion, right? Because I wrote the book on that. Speaking of book, I'm very excited for the future because we are looking to the past to find things that can help you in the future. And one of those things is that book, Superfans, that was written in 2019. I keep going back to this book. It's been almost the theme of the last few episodes here. But it's been the theme because I feel like this is exactly what not just we as business owners, both new and old, need. It's what the world needs. A way to think about developing communities and developing a following that is one that is for genuine human reasons. And I feel like we as creators should learn about superfans and creating for superfans. Again, pushing that message from Kevin Kelly back in 2005 when he wrote 1,000 True Fans. And I feel like we have this ability here at SPI to push that message out there to the right people, to help you find your fans, to help you find those people who are going to be lifelong customers of yours, and to help you utilize that and those superpowers that you have to design a life that you want to live so that you could die happy. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, thank you for hearing me out. Kind of all over the place in this episode, but it was just like, I'm just going to turn the mic on and I'm going to hit record and go because I'm turning 43. 43. My son is going to turn 16. My wife and I are going to be 17 years together. My daughter's 13. She's like interested in boys now. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? What is happening? Great things are happening. Except maybe the boy thing. But it depends on the boy, I guess. Anyway, I'll stop talking. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next episode. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Bye.
Let's talk about something that stops a lot of entrepreneurs before they even start, building a website. The good news is that the problem's basically solved thanks to Hostinger AI. And here's what I mean. First, everything's in one place. Website, hosting, domain, professional, email marketing, one plan, one price, no hunting around for different services. Second, you don't need to know code or design at all. You can pick your path, like path 1. Use Hostinger AI Website Builder. Simply answer a few questions, get a fully designed website, and you can make your tweaks, and then hit publish. Done. Or path number 2, Hostinger Horizons. Just type your idea or even upload an image, and it builds a smart site that adapts as you give feedback. Third, it's just affordable, really affordable. For Black Friday, the 48-month plan starts at just $2.75 a month. That's up to 86% off. Use code SPI for another 10% off. And here's what really matters. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Try it, and if it's not right, get your money back. Head to hostinger.com/SPI and use code SPI. That's hostinger.com/SPI, code SPI. Ever feel like you're running your business from 10 different tabs, right? One for CRM, another for email, one for booking, then a dozen spreadsheets to track it all? What if all of that, every lead, funnel, email, automation, and payment lived in one place? That's exactly what High Level does. High Level is the all-in-one marketing and automation platform built for creators, entrepreneurs, and agencies. You can capture leads, nurture clients, and automate your entire sales process all from one dashboard. I've seen countless business owners cut their software costs in half just by switching to High Level, while increasing conversions because everything finally works together. Whether you're selling courses, coaching, or services, High Level lets you build funnels, send email campaigns, manage your reputation, and even text your clients without jumping between tools. The best part is it's incredibly easy to use. No coding, no tech headaches, and you'll get step-by-step onboarding to get up and running fast. So if you're ready to simplify your tech stack and focus on what really matters, growing your business, you've got to try this. Head to smartpassiveincome.com/high-level right now to start your free 30-day trial and see why over 80,000 entrepreneurs trust High Level to power their business. That's smartpassiveincome.com/high-level. Your business powered by automation.